let's start it now. Making history. We're a part of a legendary story. We were made for this.
Hi guys, this is Bryson,
and Riley.
back with another episode of Go to the Making, where we talk about game-changing stories of life, sports, and faith.
On today's episode, we're excited to introduce you to two of the most supportive and amazing moms in all of sports, Jill Archer and Cynthia Cruz.
Aw, I'm honored you'd say that. We're so excited to be here.
Jill is mom of the Savannah Bananas all-star pitcher Andy Archer. She and her husband Glenn live in Georgia and have awesome German Shepherd pups and an amazing daughter, Miss Whitney, who is my brother's BFF. Jill and Glenn have always made sure that God's word was the center of their family and still remain that way through all their lives.
Cynthia Cruz is the mom of the Savannah Banana one and only Coach Rack. He's also the NYBC co-founder, as well as her daughter, Sabrina. She is from Riverside, California, and loves to help others on their path to a happier and healthier life. She's passionate about God, homeschooling, nutrition, and healthy living. She has over 25 years in the field of nutrition and is a nutritional consultant. If you ever need someone to ask advice on how to live a peaceful and meaningful life, Cynthia's a great person to talk to.
Wow, what an amazing intro. Thank you.
Before we begin segment one, are there any other things our guests should know about you?
I feel like you did a great job on that intro.
Yeah, you guys are the best. Thank you for doing your great homework. The only other thing I could think of to know about us is that Cynthia and I are becoming good friends as well through this whole Savannah Banana Mom thing, and that's been such a blessing.
It really has. I'm very grateful to get to know you, Jill, and treasure the time that we get to spend with each other. And I loved that we get to cheer on our boys at the same time. It's so fun.
Absolutely. And I'm learning so much from you, and Andy's learning so much from Rack. You've been such a blessing to us.
All right. We like to start off getting to know our guests with a few this or that rapid fire questions. You ready?
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Dogs.
Books or movies?
Books.
Books.
Summer or winter?
Spring and fall?
Sure.
Winter.
Yeah. Winter, you get to just have a good time. Christmas. And winter is my birthday month, so.
Yes.
I like fall, summer, or spring. I don't like winter. It's too cold.
I'm kind of the opposite. I like fall, winter, and spring. Summer's too hot for me.
Yeah, that's the same for me and Bryson in Florida. It's really hot.
Yeah.
Really best baseball playing weather though.
Yes.
Yeah. Favorite game you've ever watched your son play?
Like baseball game?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. There are a lot of them, but one that comes to mind was when he was like your age, and I don't have a video of it, so it just replays in my mind of just one of those amazing plays. I think he was at third base and did a diving catch. I don't know. I just love watching him no matter when.
That's awesome. Gosh, there's so many, but the one that stands out is, this is silly, but it's the one that stands out. I think it was maybe Andy's first season ever playing baseball. And if I recall, my husband and one of his friends were the coaches, but the part that I loved the most was it was the last game of the season. It was really more of a scrimmage than a game anyway. And unbeknownst to the boys, they thought they were getting ready to play, and the coaches came out with big buckets of water balloons. And instead of actually playing the game, they pulled out these water balloons and they just would pitch water balloons to them and let the boys hit it. And they had the best time and laughed and got wet and dirty and fell in love with the game.
That sounds so amazing. Would you guys want to do that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
My friend's birthday party, we were gonna do a practice, but instead we hit snowballs.
Ha.
Very
Where did you hit snowballs? There's no snow in Florida, right?
It was fake snow, but it was cool because we got to like run around. And then he had a birthday party after the next day, I think.
That's
That's
really
awesome. And the next time it snows here, I just might give that a try, Riley.
okay. Favorite Bible verse?
Ooh, I had a feeling you might ask this, and it changes all the time, but right now, when I'm like needing some comfort in the middle of the night, it's praise be to the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, who has blessed us in the heavenly realms with every spiritual blessing in Christ. I think it's Ephesians 1. I have a passage, so it's 3 or 4.
Awesome. Mine is Psalm 100, and it's make a joyful noise unto the Lord, all ye lands. Serve the Lord with gladness. Come before his presence with singing. Enter into his gates with thanksgiving and into his courts with praise. Be grateful to him and bless his name. For the Lord is good. His mercies are everlasting, and his truth endures to all generations.
I want to add that to my list. I love it.
That's a good one.
Thank you.
What is an emoji you think describes your son?
It looks like Cynthia's thinking, so I'll go ahead because this is kind of obvious with Andy, but it's this one.
That's a true Hawaiian one, isn't it? That's so cool.
For sure.
Wow.
And just such a part of his all day, every day.
Yes, I love it. Wow. I'll have to think about that. I think we need to create a new emoji for Rack.
Baseball, baseball.
Baseball, baseball. There you go. Yeah, you know what? And Jill, we saw each other at the beach with Andy was with Whitney, and it's just that seems just exactly right. It was so fun.
He's always.
Yeah.
Did you make your sons memorize any Bible verses?
You know, when they're little, absolutely. We
Yeah.
made them memorize verses, but when they got older, we helped them to establish a routine so that they could be in the Word regularly. And then it's not about me making them do it. I feel like then it came from them.
Mhm.
I feel like we would sing a lot of songs that have Bible verses, and so the kids would memorize them that way. And also, they went to Christian school, and so a lot of that memorization was required in their Bible classes there. So I wouldn't say necessarily made them to, but definitely encouraged it.
I love that so much. You know, when they were little, I used to look for really great songs that we could play and dance to around the house that would help us to memorize scripture. Forgot about that. I got to get some of those for my little guy now. Not Rack, his nephew.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I'm going to a Christian school next year, and I like listening to a lot of Christian songs.
Mm.
Those are probably my favorite type. And Dalton Malden songs.
Yes.
Me too.
Yeah.
All right, next question. Texting or calling?
Text.
Next.
Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
Night owl.
I'm a night owl
I'm gonna.
because every time I have to go to school, I'm always so late because I don't wake up.
Rack's a night owl too, so he'd stay up late with dad. That's one of the advantages of homeschooling, right? You can still get school in even if you stay up really late.
Mhm.
Good luck with the school.
But I'm sympathizing with you, Riley, because it is hard to get going in the mornings, and sometimes that first class of the day might be an early math or science, and sometimes you're not quite with it yet. But the great news about staying up late is everyone else is asleep and you can get a lot done. So
Yeah, that's when I do all my homework.
Wow. Isn't that amazing how we're all made so differently that you could be productive at those hours?
mm,
Mhm.
Yeah. Adventure or relaxation?
Yes.
yes, both, big time both.
I love that.
Okay, so before we move on to our next segment, quick question. What's your favorite Dalton Malden song?
I'm gonna go with Sweet Like Honey because I think that's the first one I saw him perform. And I just it's my favorite. He has so many wonderful ones. He's such a great
Yeah.
person and just such an awesome role model for you guys and talented in so many ways. Sweet Like Honey. I love it.
That's a
I
good one.
have to agree.
I think Dalton should do a Christian song.
Yes.
Mm. Maybe you guys could help him write it.
I love that.
That would be cool.
That would be cool. Okay, we're gonna move on and ask some questions about your journeys raising professional athletes and basically overall awesome humans.
How do you guys feel about your kids on using social media? Was it scary for you when Andy and Rack started posting on social media? How do you stay positive when people post mean comments to you or your kids online?
I feel like that is something that we didn't have to deal with as young as you guys do, at least for us, right? The kids were like, I think Rack was 13 or 14 and his sister was 15 before they got phones. So the social media was limited for him at that age to YouTube and some games, but yeah, those are pretty heavy questions too, to have to deal with the world of negativity. What do you think, Jill?
Well, I mean, I completely agree with you. I can't imagine what it would be like parenting a child through this now because it was so much more simple. Social media was when our kids were Brycen and Riley's age. Certainly by the time they were in high school, Snapchat and some of those things came out that really needed to be watched out for by the parents and regulated. Before I really give you my opinion on this, can I tell you guys a funny story about Andy and social media? So the first thing that I recall social media wise that came out was Facebook. And it was just a shell of what you guys know Facebook as today. It was very simple, not a lot of people on it. It was definitely not negative or harmful in the ways that it can be today. It was a little bit more random. People really didn't even know what to do with it much, but you did have a profile page similar to your profile page today. Didn't have nearly as much information. But I think Andy was probably, and I could be wrong about this, but I would guess sixth grade when it came out. And on your profile page, you could add a picture and you add your name, and then you would add your occupation. I think at the time it was definitely geared toward adults. But I, with supervision, allowed Andy to have a Facebook page. And of course, it was so different than it is today. But he wrote his name, and then I didn't realize it until maybe the next day when I went back and saw what he had done. Under occupation, where typically someone his age would write student, he put pitcher at Georgia Tech. And I really think he was probably sixth or seventh grade. I know I see your reaction, Brycen, but obviously the humor and the irony behind that is that he actually, by the time he was 18 years old, became a pitcher at Georgia Tech. So that's my funny social media story. And who knew? Andy knew, but none of the rest of us knew, right?
I love that so much. What would you boys put on your social media page as your occupation if you were to do it today?
I would probably put like
I'd put follower of Christ for sure, definitely.
I'd-
Always do that. I'd put my name, and that's pretty much it.
I'd probably just put goat.
Bryson, I could see you putting banana ball player and
Yeah.
Riley putting party animal.
Yeah.
So just my thoughts seriously on your question about how do we feel about them using social media and how do you deal with them in comments? Rack has done an incredible job of utilizing social media. He does a great job of encouraging kids and also using it as instructional help with his incredible knowledge base, to be able to help kids do a great job or breaking it down and showing them an example of being things that they can do to make themselves better baseball players. And also an incredible job of sharing the Lord with people and encouraging people that way. And I really think a lot of the bananas do actually a good job with that. And, when I say bananas, I mean everyone involved in banana ball. They do a good job, but Rack is just fantastic at it. We could all learn so much from him. And I'm just grateful that he has chosen to use the platform in the way that he has. Such a positive impact he's having on people. And, and I like how Andy's using it too. He's doing some of that as well. But one of my favorite things about what Andy's doing it is he's using it to just support his teammates. You guys have seen the I love you videos and, all of the things that he's done to make his teammates laugh. And our boys are doing a really good job with it. Not to say that there haven't been some hiccups over the years. That hasn't always been this way, but as they've grown in their experience and knowledge and their faith, I think they've done a great job of implementing that with their social media. What do you think, Cynthia?
There we go. I love the way you put that. They are raising the bar for us on what social media can be. And yeah, he actually does a class every week called Content Critiques that shows us how we can reach more people through that method. And I think it's creating a new type of community. I love the way you put that, Jill.
And I might also add, Brycen and Riley, you guys are doing a great job with your social media too. You really are. I can't imagine what you and your parents are facing. How do you guys feel about social media? How do you feel about navigating that?
Yeah, I think some things are really informational. Say like Rack's videos, they help a lot. But there's some bad things mixed in that people post every now and a while trying to bring you down. But what Rack said when we interviewed him, he said that he just ignores the comments and looks at the good ones and says, "Oh, those people are the nice people," and maybe the other people just had maybe a bad day and they just gotta feel a little better.
So the reason my mom lets me on social media is because of the players. And I watched this video of Andy. It was called Tickling My Teammates. And I think he's gonna come out with the number 2. I hope he does. Some of them were just so funny.
Yeah, it's so great when it can be used to bring joy to others, right? Encouragement and joy and instruction and all that. In terms of the negative comments, there's always going to be people out there who do that, who have negative things to say. I think it's reflective of maybe where they are in their lives or how bad their day is, or just lack of good parenting, or who knows what the reasons are. But as parents, helping our sons or children navigate that, I feel like you can overcome negativity with a lot of positivity. Certainly, like Rack was saying, ignore it and all that. But as parents, we can support our kids by saying, hey, I really like what you like. If someone has a bad comment about, let's say, how our son played in the game that night, we could say, I know you didn't play what you feel is your best tonight, but I saw what you did when so and so had a bad at bat and you went over and encouraged him, or recognizing the positive things to negate the negative things that might be coming toward them. And another thing that I've tried to do this year that I hope has been helpful to Andy is, if there is negativity, I try to bring light to positivity of Banana Ball in general. For instance, I might say, hey, I was at the game tonight. When I was in the stands, I heard this, young kid say to his dad, hey, Dad, I think I like baseball again. Let's play catch tomorrow. And so there may be negativity, but there's so much positivity. Or something like, hey, I was at the store this week and ran into so and so, my old friend, and she said that her daughter is spending a lot of time watching the Bananas. She loves that, and you're her favorite player because she likes it that you do the tickle videos or whatever. Try to pass along, the positive things too, to help make them remember those when they read the bad things.
We've had the opportunity to get to know your families, and we are so thankful for that. It makes me and Riley really believe that our future can be whatever we want it to be. How did you help your sons follow their dreams?
I love your questions. They're so insightful. Jill?
I think for me, this particular question hits home as a parent, a struggle that I had as a parent, because and my husband did such a great job of helping us navigate this. But in supporting your kids in their dreams, a huge part of it is, and this is the part I think I struggled with a little bit, was helping them really figure out what their dreams are, uninfluenced by what maybe I think their dreams could or should be. So, in other words, making sure their dreams are their dreams and not my dreams. And making sure that when I help them work toward achieving that, that I'm not getting in there and achieving it with them. It's such an important independent thing. As a family, sure, we all want to help each other succeed and accomplish the things we want to and get to the finish lines that we want to get to. But I think this particular thing was hard for me because I'm so connected to my kids and I saw what they were good at. And oh, you could do this or you could do that. And I realized, again, with the wonderful help of my husband pointing it out, is their dreams have to be their dreams. And so I think that's a huge part of it. And then in terms of us supporting them, I think it's listening to them. I know we had conversations with Andy, like when he would say, I want to be a great baseball player. And we would say, okay, what are the things that people have done to become great baseball players? What does that look like? And then let him come up with the steps. Well, I need to practice a lot. I need to maybe take lessons. I need to learn more about the game, strategically and all this. And then we would say, how can we help you do that? Well, I really need to take some lessons. Okay, well, we'll look for a good, reasonable pitching coach who's encouraging and help sign you up for those lessons. And we'll, of course, take you there, and being able to support them in taking steps toward that goal, but making sure that it's their dream and that they're driving the ship and taking steps to achieve that. Because if they're going to be something incredible and special and achieve their goals, they have to take ownership of that. And the same is true for you guys. Your parents can help you with your podcast, with your baseball, with your school, whatever, with your walk with the Lord, but it's up to you guys. Identify what your dreams are and help your parents understand how you want to get there, and then they can help you. And they want to. They really do. What do you think, Cynthia?
I love the way you put that. And from the parents' perspective, I feel like what you've said is so important. And from a parent's perspective, one of the things that I liked to do is we never told him that he wasn't going to do whatever he said he was going to do. And like you said, provided the circumstances that allowed him to get to it. The only thing we did do is remind him that he's not going to be playing baseball when he's 60, and that when that time comes, he needs other skills. So we encouraged him to put his heart into his schoolwork, into his speech and debate, into whatever his interests were, which at the time it was videography and photography and being a YouTuber, if he decided, or if God should allow.
I think that's great. We had a similar experience. I think when Andy went off to play college baseball, one thing that I really feel like the Lord told me to tell him was, you're not just a baseball player. You're more. So don't put your identity in being a baseball player. You're so much more than that. First of all, you're a child of God. You're a really good baseball player, and that's a huge part of your life, and that's wonderful. But you're not a one-trick pony. There's so much
I
more
love that.
than that. And so I think that's going to be good for you guys too. It's wonderful to be great at something, but you're so much more than just that one thing.
Wise words.
Yeah.
Great advice so far.
What do you think your parents can do to help you guys achieve your dreams?
Nothing really. Just keeps like support. Just like after games, just driving practice. They're just taking us there, and we should be grateful for that. But they really just support us and make sure it's what we want to do.
Yeah.
I think as you guys advance in learning what your dreams are, because sometimes they change over time. If you think of ways your parents can help you, I think it'd be awesome to communicate that to them, because sometimes we don't always know what you feel like you need us to do.
Yeah, I mean, my parents already they already do a lot. They bring me to practice. They bring me everywhere, and I
Definitely.
mean, that's a lot. So I don't know what they can do more.
I love that. There was a book that Sabrina's Robert Anthony's, or Rack's older sister, and she was in a Generation Joshua book club. And one of the books that was super impactful for both of them at around your age, maybe a little older, is called Do Hard Things. And are you familiar with that one, Jill?
I am. It was written by two young college guys, right?
Yes.
Hmm.
And one of the beautiful things about that book is just the mindset. Like, our society says that as a teenager, you really don't have any responsibilities, but they were challenging young people to say, hey, you do have responsibilities, you can have goals, and you can be working towards something, because biblical times and in times past, young people became adults much younger.
And I think that book also was like, go big. Don't just set certain goals or dreams and get there and whatever. Make them almost impossible, because you just might get there. Wasn't that part of that book, Cynthia?
Yes.
Great. I loved that part too.
And I feel like a lot of goals and dreams are impossible without God. And that's another reason to stretch, to know that He is helping.
Yep.
Well,
Just the other thing I'd just like to say about that is, I really want to recognize Andy and Whitney's grandparents and good family friends and coaches and teachers and Sunday school teachers and the other people who supported them also in their dreams. You know, there are always going to be some people who don't give their full support, but they had so many people who actually did and believed in them. And I know you boys do too. And I promise you, Mama Rack and I believe in you guys, and a lot of other people do. So y'all dream big and get there.
Thank you.
Yes. I love the way you, oh, go ahead.
You guys are amazing with that. That's all I was gonna say. You go.
Right on. Thank you. I feel like that, what Jill just said, corresponds to what I've been getting in my Bible studies this week. I was praying last week about what to do, because one of my girlfriend's friends, her son is raised in a Christian home, but then when they get to be adults, sometimes their walk is not reflective of the God that they serve. And I was just praying about how do we help with that? And the answer I feel was threefold. It's community, what you just said, and some of that is provided by God. There have been mentors in Rack's life that sometimes I didn't even know about, her dad didn't even know about. So it's community, it's staying in the word, and it's prayer. And it's keeping each other accountable. I feel like some friend groups can ignore things that are on the edge, but you need to be very careful about who your friend groups are and help each other stay to what you know is right. That's all.
Absolutely.
What was the most challenging moment for you as a mom of a young athlete? Was it more fun or intense as for you as a parent? Each step from travel to high school, college, and eventually pro ball.
That is a loaded question. Gosh, I had so much fun. And as a mom, I knew that my job was just to cheer him on. And especially like in the beginning, moms can shape and mold and guide. But then there comes a point when you are becoming a man that dad is more about the role of guiding or just making sure if you're not staying within the boundaries. And I could just have fun and cheer you on. So I liked that job. What do you think, Jill?
I think the most challenging moments of that I can think of as it pertains to baseball is tempering the travel baseball experience, because Andy would have loved to have been on intense travel baseball teams even when he was too young. Where Andy grew up, especially his younger years before he went to high school, the town we lived in happened to also be the same town in Georgia where John Smoltz lives. And he would run a summer baseball camp at a local park. And one summer, Andy did his baseball camp. It was just 3 or 4 hours a day at the local park. And I'm trying to think back based on the picture that we have from that camp. I would guess he was maybe 8. And on the last day of camp, John Smoltz allowed all the parents to come before pickup, and he spoke with us briefly and gave some advice and, took some questions. And I'm so grateful that my husband and I were there that day, because he gave some recommendations that I think were crucial for our family. And we didn't know enough about Andy was our first kid. We were still figuring it out, but more importantly, with his experience with baseball. And he gave us the recommendation, not just us, to all the parents, is when they're young, definitely don't let them just specialize in one sport. They need to be involved in multiple sports and activities and church and, all kinds of things. They need to spread their wings, because maybe they love baseball and they're good at it, but who knows? Maybe they love something else even more. And maybe that's going to be their thing, or that's where the Lord's going to leave them. So don't let them limit. And then when it comes to baseball, he said, I just highly recommend you don't do intense travel ball until they're much older. And we didn't know. We didn't really have older kids or families that had already gone through that experience to give us that advice. And that was hard, because Andy got very serious about ball and would have loved to have done that. And we chose instead to do like local travel teams where you could drive within an hour. So we were still at the ballpark a lot, but it allowed our family to not just revolve around baseball, which I think travel ball, especially intense travel ball, can do. So Whitney could still do her thing, and we could still go to church, and we weren't spending tons of money on flights and hotels every weekend. And I just feel like that was really good advice. And that was a challenge for us, was tempering Andy's. You want to support their dreams and you want to help them get there, but you also have to still be the parent. And the health of the family is very important. So I think that was one of the biggest, challenges that we faced. God is so good to put the right people in your path when you're asking him to, and when you're looking for that. So John Smoltz, I give him so much credit for sharing that information with us parents, because I think it had a big effect on how this all wound up for our family.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I love this. You are so wise. And it reminds me of when we had that someone, when I think Robert Anthony was playing at UCR and he was like 12 years old. And I think it was a tournament, but one of the guys pulled everybody aside and said, look, and the thing that I got out of his counsel was that school was important for, now we never forced them to have certain grades, although if they did slack, I'm sure that would have been something we would have had to think about. But we didn't really have to, in a way, because this man said, you know, your grades are going to be looked at if you want to continue to the next level of baseball. And I'm glad you brought that up too, Jill, because I did feel like there was no guidance. Like I had no idea what we were doing when it came to, and Rack's first team was just a local little league, and he was 8, almost 9. And he got pulled from that team to go play travel ball. And we never thought of, so it just happened that travel ball team didn't do a lot of huge places going far. We did have some very memorable trips for sure. But being a homeschool family on one income, one of the places where Rack's dad drew the line that we had to really respect was not to do showcases when he got older, because it just wasn't in the family budget. And the dad and Rack's dad was like, it's going to happen the way it's supposed to happen. So not that those advice is the same for every family, but that's where I think quiet time and listening to God's leading helps.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with that, and I'm not anti-travel ball whatsoever. When Andy, I think he was a sophomore or junior in high school, we felt like it was the right time to do a little bit more intense travel ball. But I just completely agree with what you said. And boys, I mean, what do you feel about that? Does sometimes you want to push it a little bit more intense than your parents are willing to do?
Well, certainly, yeah. My coach says so 2 Sundays a month you need to go to church. Certainly I go more than that, but
Yeah, but that's better than many travel ball teams where they're going every Sunday.
Sounds like he's a good one, Brycen.
oh yeah, he's amazing.
I think that's wonderful. And the fact that you recognize that, because there's a lot of coaches out there, Brycen, that the players don't feel that way. So how wonderful. I hope you get to stick with him for a while.
I've been with him for 3 years. Yeah.
Does he have a son your age?
Yeah. Brian actually plays on my team. He's really cool. They're both really cool, man.
That's awesome. I feel like I've heard your mom say that team is an answer to prayer for you guys.
Yes. We pray on the mound after every single game, just like Riley's team.
That's
That's
so
awesome.
special. And you guys are going to make incredible friends through that, because it's wonderful to play baseball together and be teammates. But when you add, the spiritual component in there, and you're joining together and praying together, that's a different kind of bond. And that's the kind of bond that lasts. So I'm sure over the years, everyone will change, and it may not always stay just like it is. But my bet is that some of those guys are going to be lifelong friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, following on to that question, my coach is a minister, and all the time we pray together at games before and after. We invite the team, win or lose, we're just out there. And before every tournament, we do Bible study, and we learn a lot from it. It's really cool because we get to learn lots of things about Christ through baseball and with my teammates.
Wow, that's so special. And I've never heard of a baseball team ever having that type of a Bible study, Christian, Lord's leading the way. That's incredible. I just really appreciate coaches that are willing to take a risk and put that out there, because that also can bring some negative feedback from people and some problems. So stay strong. I love it.
Yeah, but baseball coach doesn't call our team organization. He calls it a ministry. Every year in October, we do a baptism night, and I did it not this year, but last year, and that's one of my favorite moments in all my life. I got baptized by the best coaches in the world, and I was saved at home.
I saw the video of that, didn't I, Brycen? That was online or reel or something. And that is, it still puts kind of chills on my skin all over, because that's so much more important than any game you'll ever play.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I watched a video of Andy's where he gave advice on how to deal with people that put limits on your dreams. He said that a coach told him that he needed to be realistic about his future and that he had D1, D2, or D3 potential. We also know that the Nationals cut Rack early on. How did you help them get through those moments and turn that into feel?
I feel like by the time Rack was cut by the Nationals, we didn't even, as his parents, have a whole lot to do with it. Whatever we had done with him and helping him establish a relationship with God that allowed him to get through the hard times, because his whole identity wasn't in baseball. That was a foundation that was laid when he was younger. So I wasn't even like aware of how difficult that probably was. And I think of another thing that he went through during college that he shared later, but that wasn't so much us as his relationship with God. I think he came back from the Florida coast and he stopped at every golf course that he could, and he got some quiet time while he got some movement. I feel like movement is important a lot of times for young men. And so he was able to work through that more because of his relationship with God that he developed, not because of us.
Great advice.
Yeah, I think I wish I had been more aware of those particular moments that both of my kids have gone through, when someone said something that maybe was very impactful, like Brycen, you were talking about with Andy, and a former coach who said, I think you just have D2 or D3 potential. And I wish I'd been more aware. If I had to do that all over again, I would think I would ask more questions, like, what's hurting your heart and that kind of thing, so that I would have been aware of more of those maybe impactfully bad moments to help them navigate. But the flip side of that is that we did constantly try to support them and recognize the things they did well. We prayed for them all the time, and we prayed that the Lord would protect their ears and protect their eyes and protect their hearts, so they wouldn't hear certain things that they shouldn't, they wouldn't see certain things they shouldn't. And if they did, that there would be a protection of their hearts. I mean, guys, we're so lucky. The Lord will literally hold us in his hands. And that is real. And I think if we're praying that for our kids, he will protect them from a lot of things. And I know your parents are doing this for you as well, because they don't want you to have to deal with that. But I think we try to negate those negative things by building them up and praying for them.
Jill, and that did remind me of one of the things that I did do during that period of time. I don't think I slept a wink because I was praying like crazy, because those are the hard things that when you realize your child is going through, or your young person, not child, but still, yes, that prayer is so important.
We know that you and your families mean a lot to the guys. Andy interviewed Rack last season about his hero, and he said his sister. We are both really close with our siblings, so that was really cool to hear. How did they get along growing up, and what did you do as a family to stay close?
That's such a great question. Just one of the things that I told Rack and his sister, siblings will fight sometimes, and I'd be like, you guys are best friends, treat each other that way. So for me, it was assuming the best, knowing that I really like, even today, that's one of the things that warms my heart so much, is to see their relationship and how close they are. And I know Andy and Whitney are like that too, right? What did you guys do to foster that?
Andy and Whitney are a year apart. That's so super close in age. And so I think they had a lot of friends in common, which also encouraged closeness as well. You know, family trips is so important, because I feel like when you can take away the distractions of their friends or their devices or whatever and go and do things together, you make these incredible memories and you take pictures. And I know everything is different with photos today, but when our kids were younger, it was actually like you took it on a camera and had the film developed, and we would have these pictures and they would go back and see that. And just a reminder of, you know, the bond that they have. One of my favorite things that Andy and Whitney used to do when they were young, they did this for probably 6 months or a year. They got into this habit at nighttime. I mean, I would guess they were probably 4 and 5. After pajama baths and pajamas and all that, we would all be in the living room and they would wrestle. They would wrestle and laughing and playing around and just rough and tumble, which is more of a boy thing. So you guys probably do that. But my brother and I never did that. We never had that type of a fun relationship, but they would just wrestle around all the time. But the reason I bring that up specifically is that's the first time I could really put my finger on it and see that they loved each other. I mean, you saw things that were loving between them, but I could tell they loved each other. But this was one of my favorite things, that I could tell Andy was protective of his sister. And that is so important. And she's very protective of him. And also, we always argue about who is Andy's biggest fan, and she makes a good argument that it's her. She is so incredibly supportive and adores everything about him. And he loves her. They are very, very close. But I could see that even at that young age of 5, that he was going to protect her, because even though they were wrestling, he was gentle. And if she was going to fall, he would protect her head. And I just love that so much. So family activities foster that closeness. And the most important thing, in my opinion, is praising the Lord together, going to church together and talking about God together. That is family unity right there. That's a different kind of bond. Like we were saying, even with your teammates, the same thing is true in our families. And let me tell you something, guys. One of the biggest gifts you could ever give to your parents as you get older is to be close to your siblings, protect them, take care of them, be good examples for them, and take care of your parents together with your siblings.
Mhm.
Even when they're driving you crazy and you don't
Yeah.
want to have anything to do with them.
I love that so much.
Amazing. Faith is such an important pillar in our lives. Getting to do Bible study on the cruise with the Cruz family and other players and friends was something I will never forget. How did you make sure that Jesus was a part of your families and everyday lives, and that your kids were guided by his word?
That was actually one of the things I was thinking of, about what a special moment that was, right? The waves are really rough, and even though we're on this big ship, it was kind of scary. And the next level above us, right? We're on level 12, I think. And on the next level above us, the wind was so strong, it was picking up the chairs and throwing them around as we're sitting there doing our Bible study. And yet, I don't know about you, but I just felt such peace as he was reading the word and praying. And I thought, That was so powerful. I think of what Jill said with family moments, and that is one that I will always treasure. Yet it's the day-to-day, getting that time with the Lord. And when you open up the word and you see the words jump out at you, like here, okay, so I became a Christian when I was almost 30. So I'd been married to Rack's dad for 5 years. We had been married and we got saved together. But then right before we got saved, I was trying to read the Bible. So obviously God was tugging at our hearts. But as I started to read the Bible, it just didn't even make any sense to me. But once I got saved, all of a sudden the words were jumping off the page. Like, it was exciting. It was like a revelation each time that I was reading something. And so it became a daily habit that we tried to help our children develop. And it was like one of my biggest priorities was to make sure that we tried to take that time out every day. So anyway, I love that you brought that up, Brycen.
Thank
What do
you.
Yes. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the question was, how do you make Jesus a part of your everyday lives? I think everyday lives is so important in that. Faith isn't just something that happens on Sunday or on Easter. It is all day, every day. And so it's in your home. So as you're living life and things come up, just incorporating that into your family's response to things. Let's say there's a conflict or something and you talk about, well, what do we think the Bible would have to say about this and how should we approach that? And it's not always easy and we don't always get it right, but incorporating it into everything you do is just so important. And Andy and Whitney were fortunate enough. We went to church together as a family. They went to a Christian school. We would listen to praise music on the radio sometimes. Another thing we did when the kids were young is, I don't know if this is still a thing, but we would watch Veggie Tales. Do you guys know what that is?
Yeah.
And do you guys know what Adventures in Odyssey is?
No.
Okay. Every night of Andy's life for 5 or 6 years, probably from the time he was 6 or 7 to 12, he would listen to these CDs of these Adventures in Odyssey stories. And they were these adventure stories, usually about a young kid. And I'm sure there were repetitive characters in all this, but it was always biblical principles through these very exciting and interesting stories. And so, that gave us opportunity to talk as a family about the Lord and the Bible because that was implemented in his entertainment. So if something came up and he might be like, oh my gosh, this was on that Adventures in Odyssey when this or that happened. And then we would talk about, tell us about that and what did the Bible say and how did they resolve that? And maybe we could learn from that. But when it comes to really about faith in our family, I really am so grateful for my husband, Andy and Whitney's dad. He is a devout man of faith. He is so stable and consistent in his pursuit of the Lord, and his children see that. So I don't know if there'll ever be any dads listening to this podcast, but let me tell you from experience, if there are men, dads, love the Lord, pursue him, read your Bible, talk to your family about it. I know you guys have probably heard the analogy about the umbrella, and the dad of the family is like the handle of the umbrella. And if he is pursuing the Lord and right with the Lord, he is protecting his entire family under that. And if he gets out of sync, if he gets out of practice, that umbrella tilts and it exposes not only him, but his family to things that he doesn't want them exposed to. So anyway, I'm so grateful. Andy's hero, and he's very, very worthy of that based on the way he has just done a great job with the kids, setting a wonderful example and encouraging their relationship with the Lord. So
I love that so much. That umbrella example I'd always heard with a little bit of a different twist, where as the mom, it's my responsibility to be under or in submission to my husband as the covering for us, and encouraging our children to listen to dad, because as we have listened to him, it has protected our family. And God blesses me through that. I love that you put that with a different spin, because that's really, really wise.
Yeah. I read this book once in 4th grade. It was called The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And I thought of it as this way. The lion was Jesus, and the witch was the devil because she always tried to do bad stuff. And then there was these 3 people, 4 actually. And one of them was being turned bad, and the 3 others helped the other one go back to good, and the good side won. I thought of that as the Bible.
And I think, stories like that, biblically based stories like that, and Adventures in Odyssey and Veggie Tales are great ways for kids to kind of grasp it, because sometimes reading the Bible just seems a little bit hard for you to understand. And when authors do a great job of kind of converting into that something that can be applicable, like what you're talking about, Brycen, that's so helpful, isn't it?
Yes.
That's so good. It's so
Yeah.
funny that you mentioned Adventures in Odyssey too, Jill, because honestly, we did a lot of Veggie Tales and love them so much. But I thought of Adventures in Odyssey this morning because one of the moms in the homeschool group she's pregnant and having a little bit more trouble reading aloud to the kids. And I was thinking, oh, I love reading aloud. Maybe that would be something to do. And for some reason, I thought of that Adventures in Odyssey.
I
That's
think it's especially for adventuresome boys.
so good.
Okay.
Time for a little segment we like to call Home Run or Strikeout. We're going to ask you a series of topics, and you decide if they're a home run or strikeout.
Ready?
Ready.
Cooking.
Food is a home run.
I'm sorry, it's a strikeout for me. I'm a terrible cook. But I love to eat it when other people cook things. And I know that you're so intentional about your food, Cynthia. So
Well, you know what's funny, Jill, is that when the kids were little, I did the cooking. And then when they got to be, I think about Riley and Brycen's age, then they did the cooking. And now my husband's doing the cooking. So in that regard, at this moment in my life, yes, it would be a strikeout.
what are your answers to that, guys? Do you guys ever cook?
Sometimes.
I would say home run because it creates a memory,
Yeah.
especially if you don't do it that much and then you do it every once in a while.
Yeah. Funny story. A couple days ago for breakfast, I warmed up some meatloaf and ate it for breakfast before school.
I'm a big believer in dinner for breakfast.
Yeah.
It's good protein to start the day.
Yeah.
Using emojis to communicate.
Home run.
Home run.
Shaka. Pineapple on pizza.
Yes, home run.
You're the first one that said that, I think.
Strikeout.
Oh yeah, wait. Rack did too. Yeah, Rack liked it.
Andy didn't like it.
Yeah, Andy said he didn't like it. I thought it was gonna be a grand slam for him.
Especially since pineapple's so popular in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Dessert before dinner.
Dope.
I can see Mama Rack is talking, but I can't hear her. Go ahead, say again, Cynthia.
Just if it's a quality dessert, like good ice cream or fruit before dinner, yeah.
I would say home run occasionally, not a consistent home run, but yeah, certainly every once in a while.
For me, it's a strikeout because I want to savor it for the last part of the day.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Travel sports for kids.
I think it's a home run for me.
Yes.
Maybe my definition is different.
Yeah, I agree. Home run as long as it's appropriate.
Road trips.
Home run,
Woo!
family time,
Grand slam home run.
grand slam home run. Love it.
Okay. My go on weekends, wearing pajamas all day.
How would you get any sun?
Going outside to play catch.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Home run.
Home run, especially during the holidays.
Christmas.
Yes.
The only time I wear like long pajamas is during Christmas. Like,
Yeah.
that's like the only time. And then the rest is just regular stuff.
Does your mom want to get pictures of everybody together in their Christmas pajamas in front of the tree? No?
No.
You're
Yeah.
lucky. Most
Yeah.
of us make our kids miserable trying to do that.
Gardening.
Home run.
Strike out, but I would love to eat some of your wonderful garden food.
You know, after I said home run, I realized this is another season of my life where I'm not doing the gardening. Hubby is. So I just like being able to go out there and eat.
I'm a big fan of fresh garden food. I just don't know how to do it.
Okay.
Before we end tonight, we'd like to give you an award based on what we love about you.
Miss Jill, we're awarding you the Fruitful Blessing Award. We give you this one because of your strong faith and boundless love to your family and friends. Just like the sweetest Georgia peach, your and warmth nurtures everyone around you. And just like a banana, you bring sunshine and smiles with your support and encouragement. Your dedication to your kids and even ones that are not yours, just like us, is a testament to your beautiful fruit in your heart.
Thank you so much. I have to say, I think that's the most wonderful reward I've ever received. Thank you, boys.
You're
Cynthia,
welcome.
we are awarding you the Nurturer of Health and Knowledge Award. This is because you are nurturing as a mom. You are a teacher to many. You advocate for others to live a happy and healthy life. You teach others to take care of their physical and mental well-being so they can grow up and be the best version of themselves.
I am honored. Thank you. You two young men are really pretty amazing. Like the wisdom and the thoughtfulness. I'm just honored to be here.
Time to flip the script. Do either of you have any questions for us?
I have a couple actually that have kind of come to mind during the podcast. What are some of the biggest challenges that you guys have with your parents right now?
Nothing.
Do you feel like they do a good job understanding what you're going through or relating to what your struggles are?
Yeah. I can't really do anything. I can't say anything that's anything worse. I feel like my parents are like the best parents ever.
I feel like the biggest struggle for me is like waking up early to work out because I have to start getting ready at 7 o'clock, go to school at 8 o'clock. You're like, I like sleeping in, but I feel like it's good to work out.
Does your mom wake you up for that, or do you wake yourself up?
Usually me, but if I don't wake myself up, my dad.
Yeah, for me also, when I wake up late every day and I'm always late to school. Not late, but like I'm on time, but so I always wake up at 7:30. I get to school at 8:25.
Brycen, is your school an hour away?
I think it's like 5 hours away from Riley.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. I until this podcast, I thought you guys were even on the same team.
No.
You guys met through Banana Ball, is that right? Through the Savannah Bananas?
Yes.
Yeah, we met through Bananas in NYBC.
Yeah.
Were you both at the same NYABC camp?
He
I
has I went to the last one, but it would be really cool if both of us get to go this time.
Yeah. This time, that would be really cool.
And we had this friend on the cruise. He's just a nice person. His name is Ben. He also goes on the NYBC calls. He's just really nice.
Shout out to Ben.
Yeah, shout out to Ben. I got to meet Ben and his sister Bella and his mom.
Yes.
It's so awesome that you guys and also Ben have hooked up and are developing friendships and doing something incredible like this podcast together. But I have noticed, and I imagine Cynthia too, because we've been in a lot of the same places, it's really cool to see that your families also have gelled. And they've done a great job from what we've seen. And of course, I know your mom's better than your dad's, but I met them. But just the fact that your parents are getting along together just is a wonderful addition to your friendship as well.
Yep.
And speaking of your moms, you guys have just rocked this podcast. I've listened to actually several of the podcasts that you have. Y'all are so impressive. Y'all are just, you're cool, you're laid back, you're fun, you're easy to be around, you're great conversationalists, but you're also so mature and you're just doing things, in my opinion, above what's typical for your age. So I really want to shout out to your parents for doing an incredible job raising you guys. And I also want to thank you guys for supporting so much the banana ball players, because that's what they're there for. They're there for you guys and for you guys to grab hold of that and become friends with them and be such fans. They love it. So we thank you as their moms for doing that.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much.
So before we sign off, what would be one thing you'd like to tell your 10-year-old self and your kids' 10-year-old self?
I'd say listen to Brycen and Riley's podcast regularly.
I would say things are never as bad as you think they are at the time. And so try not to let burdens be so heavy. And also just give your cares to the Lord and He will relieve a lot of the burdens off.
Yeah.
And we're going to be praying for you guys. We sure are, for you individually, for your families, and that you guys will achieve your hopes and dreams too. Y'all are just rocking life and setting a great example for so many.
I think me and Riley made our goals pretty clear to everyone, but for everyone that's watching and doesn't know, our goals are to be future banana ball players.
Party animals players.
Banana.
I bet that's going to happen.
NYBC coaches.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe by the time you guys are there, Cynthia and I can come back and be banana nanas.
There you go.
We can all be in the program together. What about that?
Yes.
Anytime I get a chance to get to be with you, Jill, I am looking forward to it.
I feel the same way too. And also with Janelle and Melissa and these
Hi.
guys' families.
Hi.
And Bear. Hi, Bear. Whitney's
Yeah,
going to be so jealous that I got to see you tonight, Bear.
Well, a huge thank you to Miss Jill and Miss Cynthia for coming on the show tonight. We appreciate you for spending time with us.
It was our pleasure. Thank you, Brycen. Thank you, Riley. Thank you, Bear.
Thank you. It was really great having you guys on the show.
Thank you guys so much. Y'all are the best, and we're big fans of you guys and Bear too.
Yeah.
This is Riley.
And Brycen,
Thank you for joining us for this episode, and until next time.
think about what kind of kid you want to be.